morning and welcome to this morning's webinar on which I am talking about staying healthy while working from home. My name is Kasia from Media and Business Station, and I'm looking forward to sharing some of my tips and learnings that I have gathered over the last couple of years while talking about this topic, or sorry, rather while living this topic, because, you know, I've been working from home since a few years now, but especially during COVID, when it just became much more of a thing. And the fact that I work in, you know, digital marketing and I work online a lot. So this is a big part of my life, and I'm looking forward to sharing what I've learned on my journey. So if you're watching this recording after the actual presentation, then please feel free to send through any of your feedback or comments or anything that you'd like to add. And if you are tuned in with me live during this presentation now, then please feel free to put any of your comments or feedback into the chat box as we go. Ask me any questions along the way, which will just make it more fun and engaging for all of us. So on that note, I am going to get started and share my screen, and I will jump back in between to tune in with you guys so that I'm not killing you via death by PowerPoint, so to speak. Okay, so second. Just wanted to say thank you for tuning in, and this webinar is brought to us by Business Station and the ASBAS Digital Solutions Program. They're about to roll out a new program, which is going to, you know, consist of a $44 package for 7 hours of support for new participants. And for those of you who are already registered, there shall be ongoing free workshops and webinars and group training, and more to be announced. So watch this space. So just to sort of summarize what we're going to be speaking about, I love this quote by John Milton: "The mind is its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven." So hopefully what we're going to be discussing today will give you some tips and insights as to how to get more of that heaven, both internally and externally, at least within your home and working space. So just to reiterate what we are going to be covering, you know, top tips and tools for looking after your physical and emotional well-being while working from home, which is a reality for many people now due to the, you know, constant, well, not the constant, but rather the ongoing reality of imminent lockdowns during this time. And for a lot of those people who are small business owners and or work in the online space or do a lot of consulting online. So hence the need for this topic to be covered. So just to introduce myself to those of you who I haven't met before, I am a digital marketing advisor and have been for Business Station now for the last 2.5 years. I also run my own agency, which is called Media, for the last 5.5 years. Just some context as to why this topic is relevant, or why I am interested in the field of resilience and well-being. I have had my own health journey, and when I was 24, I'm now 35, I was a thyroid cancer person, and now I value my health very much so after nearly losing it. And usually I am a gym junkie, hiking enthusiast, and beach lover. I say usually because I recently broke my foot when I opened the freezer, which doesn't make me seem very qualified to teach how to stay alive while working from home. But hey, things happen, which is why part of this chapter is also on resilience, so live to tell the tale. Also, I'm a crazy cat lady. If you can hear some strange sounds in the background, I haven't smuggled a baby under the desk. It is my very noisy and demanding cat. So when I was researching this topic, and when I've been reading a lot of literature over, or since the start of COVID, it was very interesting, and something that became apparent and made me realize the relevance of what I'm about to show you is that psychologists find that one of the best strategies for managing the emotions we feel is to actually name them. So I've collated a few interesting bits and pieces which may sort of correlate to a name for what you could have been feeling or have experienced over the last couple of years of the roller coaster of the new reality. So this was from a New York Times article. So this term is actually called languishing. It's, to be very non-scientific, it's an official term for feeling meh, or it's, you know, more I guess accurately described as a sense of stagnation and emptiness. In this article, it coins the phrase, "It feels as if you're muddling through your days, looking at your life through a foggy windshield." It's also incorrectly written as the dominant emotion of 202 here, but it was meant to be the dominant emotion of 2021 by a recent article, which I just mentioned. This term I love, and I probably pronounce incorrectly, but thanks to my German friend Mandy, who introduced me to this word called Kopfkino, which literally translates as head cinema. It refers to, you know, those mental images which imagine how events will unfold. This phrase or this term came up in conversation when we were talking about, you know, when you're running your own business and the challenges you may face and so on. And when you're lying in bed and you feel as though you're spectating and watching a cinema or some events unfolding in front of you, and it's like you're a spectator in the background, but not, you know, in the advanced way that you can observe your thoughts and feelings, etc., as a meditator, which is a part of this later on. But this is more so the sort of like the lack of choice to observe and just sort of be in the background, but also feeling hopeless and looking out at your hopes and fears, creating dramatic narratives that you sort of spectate whether you want to or not. But we'll cover some ways in which you can choose not to be a spectator of this kind in any case. And then this one, I couldn't pronounce the last time I tried to, but chronosomnia. So, you know, with COVID-19 stress, the huge changes in routines and decreased activity for many people caused sleep experts to say that the coronavirus actually resulted in a second pandemic of insomnia. Coronasomnia is fueled by broken routines, and, you know, it can be identified as a series of vicious circles because the more you worry about not being able to control something, generally the less control over that something you find you have, and then you create a second force to deal with in the form of your anxiety, which you're then trying to worry about also controlling, which can, you know, relate to the worrying about the lack of sleep and laying awake at night. So I'm sure that a lot of people who have started their own businesses or taken a risk have also experienced this laying awake at night. But again, we'll cover some ways in which this can hopefully not be an ongoing reality for you. So just to summarize on the, you know, more negative aspects that can arise and the potential challenges that may be present while working from home. The first is, potentially feeling isolated. So while working remotely or alone as a small business owner, it can feel like a lonely path at times. Again, we're going to cover things on this, but my favorite way of, counteracting that is to have a community of people, mentors, work friends, so to speak, that I collaborate and bounce ideas off and, have as my community. And also, I'm fortunate in that I get to actually speak to humans, sometimes face to face, but I do a lot of consulting like this online. So I do get to feel that connection. But I have to say there's only so much Zoom you can do. So it is good to still be able to meet face to face. Second is difficulty staying motivated. So due to disruptions such as annoying three-legged cat in the bedroom of mine. I'm kidding, by the way. I am a cat lady. I do love him. But annoying disruptions such as pets, the other type of pets that I've heard of called children, and domestic duties. Thirdly, this is one of my schemas, so to speak. So something that I have to constantly revisit because we are all a work in progress, and I need to also practice what I preach. So reiterating these points that I've learned on this webinar, great reminder to me to actually put them into practice. But lack of work-life balance. So a lot of people start their own businesses with the idea that they can work whatever hours that they want to, which is true to a certain extent. But often when you have your own business, especially the first few years, you find yourself working perhaps a lot more than you would have worked if you were, working in a 9-to-5 job where you didn't have to do everything yourself, including the, bookkeeping and accounting and the admin and the joyous things that come hand in hand with running a business, which is why I have a business partner who is an accountant, because clearly that's not my area of love or expertise. Anyway, so lack of life-work balance can lead to greater risk of burnout. Burnout can show up in a lot of different ways. I've been reading actually a few articles on that recently. So, if you're constantly feeling overwhelmed, obviously if you're feeling quite exhausted, but if you're just burning the candle at both ends, so to speak, and you're constantly pushing it and burning the midnight oil, then that may not be a sustainable long-term option for your mind, body, and soul. So what I'd say is try to get some help for your business if you can, and delegate, and don't try and do everything yourself where possible, and have some firm boundaries. Like I actually often go offline on weekends if I can. I don't have my notifications for social media on my phone for any of the apps, in fact. And I sometimes, if I can, don't even check my notifications for 2 days, which sounds ridiculous, but it is a luxury these days. There you go. Turning notifications off rather is a great way to minimize the constant ping of being notified, and the spike of cortisol that it releases in your brain and body, which is not meant to be a constant ongoing thing. Then difficulty eating well and staying active is the fourth potential challenge. I do cover quite a bit about this because I'm usually an extremely active and moving a lot person. That's not a proper term, a moving a lot person, but hey, there we go. So not stopping for regular healthy meals or getting enough exercise when sitting all day can be a bit of a challenge. So now that I've covered all the challenges that may potentially arrive, I'm going to tell you some of my top tips and tools for healthy strategies when it comes to working from home. Okay. So the opposite of that terminology we were looking at before, which was referred to as languishing, is actually called flourishing. So this is what we are aiming for, and there is a growing body of research which demonstrates that there are simple steps one can take to recharge their emotional batteries and spark a sense of fulfillment, purpose, and happiness. And again, the source of this article, not the same article, by the way, but a different one, but also from the New York Times, also outlined that the psychology community calls this lofty combination of physical, mental, and emotional fitness flourishing. Oops. So a few ways on how we can, maximize the flourishing and minimize the languishing. First of all, getting outside. So, yep, that's actually a photo of me there with my hiking friends. So during COVID-19, a lot of people started a new hobby such as baking or cooking or, I don't know, knitting or something or other. But yeah, my friends and I had this theory anyway that, if we can't really quite travel the way that we sort of are used to or used to be used to, we can at least travel within our own backyard and see some of the most beautiful nature trails in WA. So that was my COVID hobby, which I took up, called hiking. And part of a big thing as to why we do this as well is getting outside, because, scheduling regular time in nature reduces anger, fear, and stress, and increases pleasant feelings. For example, if you find your happy place, for some people it's the mountains. For me, it's near the ocean, vitamin C, then even a short trip and exposure to some nature can recharge your body and soul. So spending time offline as well, it's a big thing. I refer to the energy that you feel when you're constantly checking different notifications, messages, and so on between various apps and social or digital platforms as fragmenting or fragmented. I feel like I'm a little bit fragmented. My foot is fractured, but my energy gets fragmented by the constant notifications and different platforms that we're jumping between and time on screen. So I love to spend some time offline, and I feel that I become a lot more productive and useful to my clients and business people when I'm recharged from going inwards rather than remaining on screens. I do normally teach digital marketing and social media for business. I know that sounds ironic because most of what I'm going to cover in this webinar and what I've covered so far is sort of alluding to the fact that they are not, technology and social media is not necessarily always the best thing for our mental and physical well-being. But again, it all comes down to boundaries and how we manage it best to work with our lifestyles and work for us, not to allow it to work us or the other way around. So anyhow, so scientifically speaking, exposure to nature also reduces blood pressure, heart rate, muscle tension, and the production of those pesky stress hormones. I also have a lovely client who I've helped. She even has done a lot of study in this area, and she's actually created her own guide to forest bathing. So yeah, there's a lot of research and evidence here. And if you just go out and feel the difference it makes getting some vitamin C and some vitamin D on your skin, you'll believe it for yourself. And then staying active. So when I am not supposed to not be moving because of the aforementioned broken foot, I love to start and end the working day with a walk. This dude over here is called Darren Cartel. He's a pretty funny guy, very clever as well. he's besties with James Smith, PT, who is another fitness guy I often refer to quite frequently in my presentations because he's very good at social media and he's also very smart and entertaining. But in any case, yeah, when possible, it is, great to schedule walking meetings rather than sitting down at a cafe. Something that I normally do is also stick to a daily step count. So there's no magic number, but the recommended number for the average person who, isn't necessarily a PT or, runner to keep in good condition is 10,000 steps a day. So the reason why I have this guy on my presentation is that during the last few months, he was traveling between, I think, the UK and Australia. And so he had to do self-isolate in a hotel room for 14 days. And his whole movement that he started is called Need Up 24/7. So the Need Up stands for the non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Basically what it means is all of the actually very much overlooked activity and incidental movement that you do apart from when you go to the gym or actively take yourself out to go and exercise. So his whole movement talks about increasing your activity level daily by making these small changes, such as, taking the stairs instead of the elevator or walking to the shop instead of driving. But yeah, as I was getting to earlier, recently while he was self-isolating in the hotel room, he pretty much documented and shared with his follower base on his social media how he still managed to stick to his 10K a day step count. He did have a piece of gym equipment in his room, but the point being that unless you have got a broken limb, there is no excuse for not being able to move more. I mean, one tip that my personal trainer and health coach gave me was to not just aim for, one big walk during the day singularly, but rather to aim for, small and frequent or intermittent walks or breaks in between everything else you're doing, because then it's easier to achieve your overall 10K step count. And also if you have one of these, not a scrunchie as I just showed you, but rather these like an Apple or Apple Watch or Fitbit or Garmin or smartwatch, or even if you just have one of these as in a mobile delight, not a mobile delight, but a mobile device rather. So, you can use an app like a Pacer app, and or rather even, I'm an Apple girl, so to speak, but Apple Health will track your steps and tell you your daily step count. So it's just something to be, aware of, because it can just really keep your activity levels up. And not something you need to become obsessive about, but it is just helpful to be aware of and aim to improve. And the other thing is you can also average a bit like your calories if you are tracking your nutrition. Again, not saying that's something you have to do, but if it's part of your health and fitness regime, then it is useful to say average your calories over the week. Same as when you're budgeting. Don't talk to me about budgeting. But anyway, you can do the same with your steps. You can average your step count over the week. So, you aim for your 10,000 steps a day, but you can average that out over the week so that if you're, a person who's likely to have more time to be active on the weekend, you can then average it out over the week so that it's part of your overall plan rather than just going day by day. As I was mentioning earlier, taking a hike can, be a great way to improve your fitness. Surprising how, how it's a different level of fitness actually from, going to the gym, but especially if you're going uphill, man, that can be testing. And when you're carrying a backpack, even if it's not that heavy, anyway, it does boost your fitness. It improves your mental well-being, And the good thing as well is it enables us, or you, or I, or we, to stay social with friends. So it was a great way of still connecting with friends. Obviously, we did it the right way when we weren't going in a big group during COVID, but when we were allowed to again. And it's just a nicer way, or not nicer necessarily, but just a different way of, connecting with people when we're in our sort of true and natural state, out and about in nature and the outdoors, rather than, in a noisy bar. You could go hiking, then go to a noisy bar after that, even better. But anyway, it's a great way to unplug from daily life, explore nature trails in WA, and appreciate the little things. So you can actually join an established hiking group, or you can start your own, like I did with the COVID Eagles. Yeah, and that's a photo of me that my friend Mandy actually took. Obviously, it was a bit warmer, hence the shorts. Wearing a backpack from one of my clients, Shumi boxes. So another huge factor in maintaining health is to eat a healthy diet. So when I am on my own, I don't enjoy just cooking for myself. So my way of still maintaining my healthy diet, especially when I've been working a lot, has been to get meal delivery from in WA. There's a great brand that I really like called Hail the Kale, but also one of my best friends is starting her own meal delivery business, Alexia. So I've been having her meals, but I have also got an air fryer, which is really cool because you can pretty much make almost anything in an air fryer, and you don't have to apply a lot of oil or fat to it at all. Just a bit of spray oil. The other day, my friend came over because we were working on a Sunday. I know work-life balance, don't judge us. But I made some halloumi in the air fryer. I just literally chopped it up, cut it, and chucked it in. And in like maybe 5 to 7 minutes, it was ready. I didn't even apply anything to it as an oil. And she was really impressed. But you can do, I often get, pre-marinated chicken. Like Mount Barker does some really nice ones, like pesto or peri-peri chicken, strips, breast fillet, and I put it into the air fryer, just a little bit of spray oil. And then I just put some, basmati rice into the microwave in a sachet. And then I'll make a little bit of salad and I'll chuck it all together in less than 10 minutes. And then that's at least giving me or giving you your protein, some of your micronutrients, polyphenols, going for the rainbow on your plate, which I have on there. Back to our presentation, in your salad as well. And then, another big thing is staying hydrated, like 2 liters of filtered water a day. I say as I take a sip out of my water bottle. I'm actually pretty good at drinking water. I'm actually pretty good at drinking in general. But maybe it's because I talk a lot and I need to keep my mouth hydrated. But 2 liters of filtered water a day is what's recommended, more or less, depending on your weight. I'm yet to hear of someone who drowned by overconsumption of water on the daily. So, just drink more if you aren't already. And if you have any hesitations, then speak to your doctor, but I'm sure you'll be fine. The other thing, which I'm not very good at, is limiting caffeine, because I love coffee, but I do know my limit when it gets to, say, like probably about 5 or more. I'll probably start to bounce off the walls a little bit too much. Limiting sugar intake. I found many small ways to do so. One of them being I don't really have any sugar or sugary shite in my cupboard. Yes, I just said sugary shite, and that's not an official term. And anyhow, even things like, unless it makes you really happy and you like it, I don't have sugar in my coffee or my tea. I like myself to stay bittersweet. But there's so many alternatives now. that doesn't have to involve drinking, you know, so yeah, sorry, it doesn't have to involve sugar rather. So yeah, one of my wonderful clients yeah, actually has all of these sugar-free baking mixes. Carolyn, I've been helping her recently, so you know, there's many different types of yeah, really good options that don't have to mean that you're consuming a lot of sugar. So I would definitely encourage you to check those out. And I'm just pulling up something to show you guys. Where is it? Sweet. So yeah, if you want to check out the Instagram of my lovely client who I mentioned, the handles there at Sweet Life Oz, sugar-free bake mixes. Yeah, so some really great recipes they share on there as well. So yeah, as I mentioned before, if you're time poor and don't enjoy cooking, consider a healthy meal delivery options such as Hail the Kale. And, you know, always go for that rainbow on your plate of the different colored fruits and veggies, and avoid highly processed foods. So a big thing that can help is also for mental health in general and for overall well-being is to maintain a healthy routine. And, you know, this can include, oops, excuse me, I just jumped one, sticking to set working hours, and also scheduling regular breaks and downtime, limiting your screen time. Whoops, sorry, my screen is going a bit crazy on that note. Having clear boundaries with office hours, and then also, like I mentioned before, personally, I feel like I need to start each day with exercise, which for me is generally gym or a walk. Gym when I have a healed limb, or a walk. So, you know, finding what works for you. I like to sweat out my frustration and, you know, get the blood flowing to start my day. So you can find what works best for you. Okay, whoops. So another thing that can be very helpful is bedtime hygiene. So creating a relaxing wind down routine. This could include having a non-caffeinated herbal tea before you go to bed. I don't generally do that because I drink too much water anyway, because as I mentioned, I'm pretty good at staying hydrated. So I find that if I have tea, it'll just generally make me need to get up and go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, which is unhelpful. But if you don't drink as much water as I do, or you're limiting how much water you have before bed, then a good alternative could be a, you know, lovely relaxing herbal tea. I have a particular blend that I love from Celestial Seasonings called Tension Tamer, or there's some beautiful ones from the Puka brand, Puka. One's got elderberry and echinacea that Sally, my lovely assistant, loves. Another thing that you can do is get off your devices and screens at least an hour before bed, because you know that pesky blue light technology messes with your circadian rhythm and is known to sort of keep you awake and alert, excuse me, like that tired but wired feeling, you know. So it's a good way to yeah, avoid that by at least getting off an hour, or even ideally 2 hours before bed. The other thing is, you know, not sleeping with your phone next to your bed. So I invested in one of these good old-fashioned alarm clocks that I forgot sounds extremely loud when you actually utilize it for the purpose of the alarm, and it nearly gave me a heart attack. But I at least have that next to my bed rather than, you know, a phone. And then even putting your phone out of the room, even if your alarm is on your phone, will also mean you need to actually get up and go and get the phone when the alarm goes off. So yeah, and at the very least, put your phone on airplane mode or turn off the, you know, put it on airplane and turn off all the notifications, or don't disturb, put it on do not disturb, which turns off the notifications depending on your settings, usually all of them. And another thing that's supposed to be not supposed to be, but proven to be very helpful is to try to go to sleep, or rather to actually go to sleep and wake up at the same time each day, so that your body has that routine and that circadian rhythm is in good nick and check. So another thing to do if you're, you know, working from home is to look at your setup and make sure that you are set up for success. Ideally, and if possible, you know, you'd like to create a separate working space. I'm in a studio style apartment, so that means it's sort of like open plan living, but in an ideal world, I would prefer to have a separate working space, like as in, you know, separate office room. I actually prefer having a separate external office where possible, because of those, you know, clearer boundaries between when you stop and start working. But, you know, I'm also all for maximizing what we have, and, you know, the minimalism movement. So even if your working space is, you know, in the same vicinity or close to your living space, you can make it work, and you can invest in something such as a standing desk. I've been told by my chiropractor that you can find some pretty good quality ones online, because a lot of people during lockdowns have invested in them, but then they go back to the office. So if you look for some on Facebook Marketplace secondhand, you can get some pretty good quality ones generally. Then, you know, there's other things you can do to look at your work setup and how you can make small improvements, such as by buying an ergonomic mouse. I've actually got one of these here. It's actually, I'm pretty sure it's made quite a difference to me, because I last year was getting these very unpleasant carpal tunnel syndrome symptoms, which means like tingling and pain and numbness in your wrists, arms, and hands and fingers. And I was told I should go and speak to a surgeon, but then I just went and got chiropractor and massage, and also invested in one of these. And that makes a big difference, because the symptoms I mentioned from the carpal tunnel syndrome are also coined as selfie wrist, because Kim Kardashian allegedly has had it from taking over 2,000 selfies in a weekend. I promise you I wasn't taking that many selfies of myself. Anyway, and another thing that you can do is, you know, stop and stretch regularly. As human beings, we do not spend enough time on the floor, on the ground. But yeah, you know, a foam roller, which I have got somewhere, is also a great friend to have by your desk. So this is a big thing, and something that's changed my life a lot and continues to evolve and do so. So practicing meditation and mindfulness. So thousands of studies have shown mindfulness meditation can result in benefits such as gaining a new perspective on stressful situations, building skills to manage your stress, increasing self-awareness, focusing on the present, reducing negative emotions, increasing imagination and creativity, and also increasing patience and tolerance. And you don't need to, you know, go to the Himalayas or go and retreat into a cave for a year in order to do this. In fact, I can recommend a number of apps, but I'm actually going to especially recommend one today, which is called the Waking Up app by Sam Harris. And this is an amazing app. It's a guide to understanding the mind. and exists for the purpose of living a more balanced and fulfilling life. So this app is by Sam Harris, who is a, neuroscientist, philosopher, and New York Times best-selling author. And yeah, it is really a beautiful app. He explores the practice of meditation and examines the theory behind it. For any of you that are on here today or would like it afterwards, I can share with you from the app a 30-day free trial. I'm just going to pull it up on my phone. This is what it looks like on my phone. So what I love about the app is that when you go to the practice section, when you're on the home section, it actually shows you there in real time how many people are now practicing. So it says 521 are now practicing the daily meditation. And there's also theory practice timer. And also you can benefit from a 30-day free trial, which I'm happy to share the link with any of you guys who are interested. I don't get any kickback from it, I promise. 533 people now practicing. But the thing that I love about this too is that Sam Harris doesn't want anybody to be 544 now practicing uninhibited from accessing the app, because if there's anybody who can't afford or can't obtain a paid subscription, then no questions asked, can just email him and you will be sent a complimentary subscription to access the app. And yeah, he's constantly adding new theory and practice and lessons to it, but I just love the daily meditation. This is a new session added on transforming negative emotions. So yes, come back to my screen. So I love this quote by Sam Harris. Oops, sorry, don't know what it's doing. Excuse me. So I love the this quote. That was my Apple Watch just making a strange noise. The past is a memory. It is a thought arising in the present. The future is merely anticipated. It is another thought arising now. What we truly have is this moment, and we spend most of our lives forgetting the truth. Sam Harris. This is a program that has also popped up anyway, but if anyone has any thoughts or questions on that, on meditation and mindfulness and how it can transform your life, then please reach out to me and I would love to speak to you more about that. I'm no expert, but it's certainly worked for me just to help me take a step back from everything that sweeps you up, and it's kind of like being the ocean underneath the waves. Another amazing person with incredible resources I'd recommend checking out is Dr. Patrick Jones, drpatrickjones.com, and he is an expert on mindfulness-based well-being, and he's recently put some interviews up on mindfulness and heroism. If you go onto the media section of the website, so mindfulness and heroes, drpatrickjones.com. I would thoroughly recommend tuning in to some of his talks and checking out his work on his website if you're interested in learning more about mindfulness-based well-being and how it can transform human lives and help us realize our potential. So another great program that's become available thanks to Beyond Blue is called the New Access Program for Small Business Owners. It's a free and confidential mental health program, which has been developed by Beyond Blue to give small business owners the support they need. And the premise of it is that it uses low intensity cognitive based therapy, which will help us recognize the way we think, act, and feel. If you are applicable for and sign up for this program, you'll have access to a coach who'll assist you in tackling unhelpful thoughts and behaviors by coming up with and using an individual plan for you. I've put the links there, but obviously you're watching this, so you can't click on the link on the recording. But if you literally Google New Access Program, Beyond Blue, it should come up. It will come up. And the main criteria for you to be able to access this is that you aren't already enrolled in another mental health help program or treatment plan, rather, or you're not in a current mental health undergoing mental health treatment. Another thing that I find to be an extraordinary way to transform and nourish my body and soul and mind is to have beautiful literature within my reach. So this is a book that I've probably bought at least 10 times, but I still am yet to retain a copy for myself because I keep on giving it to other people because I love this book so much, but I love the messages in here. And the author, Charlie Mackenzie, has actually, Mackenzie maybe, his Instagram is there at Charlie Mackenzie, and he actually has been leaving copies of his beautifully written and illustrated book on bus stops around the UK where he's from to just uplift people and just spread kindness during COVID, because the whole premise of this book is about kindness, vulnerability, love, authenticity, being human, vulnerability. And it's kind of like a what I'd coin as a modern day cross of The Little Prince, Le Petit Prince, and Winnie the Pooh. It's absolutely beautiful. And everybody who I have gifted this book to has absolutely loved it. Another book that I found to be very helpful. It's the subtle art of not giving a F, you know what, CK. I don't think I'm allowed to swear on webinars. By Mark Manson, a counterintuitive approach to living a good life. So it's actually about putting your energy into caring about the right things rather than not caring at all, because we only have so much, energy to allocate, so to speak. So I've listened to this on Audible a few times, and I was very happy to be reminded of this by my business partner, Greg. And it's something that I'll probably revisit again. And then this is something I actually personally have printed out on my wall, 10 Commandments for Reducing Stress. So by Sylvia Waits. The first is, thou shalt not be perfect or try to be. The second is, thou shalt not try to be all things to all people. Then also the third is, thou shalt leave things undone that ought to be done. Number 4 is, thou shalt not spread thyself too thin. Number 5 is, thou shalt learn to say no. Number 6 is, thou shalt schedule time for thyself and for thy supporting network. Number 7 is, thou shalt switch off and do nothing regularly. Number 8 is, thou shalt be boring, untidy, inelegant, and unattractive at times. Number 9, thou shalt not even feel guilty. And 10, this is a very important one, thou shalt not be thine own worst enemy, but thine own best friend. So I think that is a very poignant and important reminder to us. I know most of you are probably going to be tuning into this afterwards, but if anybody has any questions or feedback at all, I would love to hear your thoughts. This photo I actually captured when I went down to Cottesloe Beach It was actually one afternoon. It was a beautiful afternoon when it wasn't even windy, which is miraculous. And anyway, just captured this shot on iPhone, and I remember feeling a little bit stuck in my head. As Tony Robbins would say, if you're stuck in your head, you're dead. So anyway, got out to the beach, didn't even, go for a proper beach session, but just rather for a lovely walk. Got my feet in the sand and the water, which is great for detoxing, and just went for a beautiful walk, got some breathe, some ocean air in, and took this photo. And anyway, my point being is that often we can have, our own idea of heaven, because I love the beach. For me, that's heaven at our own back doorstep. So it's just a matter of being able to get out and get into that space to access it, and to sometimes give yourself a push to get you out of your head, and just to really check in with yourself, nature, and really, I guess it's about, coming home to yourself, and being true to you, and doing the things that will make you feel alive and inspired. And even a short walk can do wonders for your attention, your memory, your creativity. Especially find when I'm non-broken footed and I'm feeling mentally blocked, or if I have writer's block, so to speak, if I go for a short walk, get some fresh air into my brain and some blood flowing, then it really does wonders, for my creativity and expression. So I would encourage you to do the same. And if you don't have the fortune of being able to live or go relatively nearby to a beach, even going for a short walk, around the block, or if there's a park near you, that was my Apple Watch alerting me to the fact that it's time to stand up and move a little bit for 1 minute. Will do after this webinar. Thanks, Apple. So and just wanted to also say thank you to Business Station, which makes this webinar possible and is brought to us by the Australian Small Business Advisory Services Digital Solutions, an Australian government initiative which is funded by the Commonwealth to help empower and upskill business owners with their digital capacity. I'm proud and very much love being an advisor for this program. My contact details are here. So thank you for tuning in with me today. I am Kasia McNaught from McNaught Media. That is my email, kasia@mcnaughtmedia.com, and my mobile and website. And then this is the Business Station contact details. So as I briefly mentioned at the start, there is going to be a very exciting new program that is coming soon. So Business Station is just in the process of being able to roll that out. So more to be announced. And if you go to their website, businessstation.com.au, you'll be able to see what is coming out. And the date is to be confirmed. And if you go to, if you want to also stay up to date with my events and what I'm doing for Business Station, you can go to my website, but I have the Facebook page. Events tab is always being updated with what's coming up from my end. So and then just in the last few minutes, we haven't, whoops, sorry about that. I just have to turn that off. Note to self, put your phone on do not disturb next time you're running a webinar. So anyway, what I was saying was, if anybody else has any questions, please, now's the time to put them in the chat box. Let's see. Actually, this is an interesting question. how do I stay mentally healthy in terms of my social media and Instagram content? This question came up recently, so I'm just going to take the liberty of answering it. I like to see Instagram as a magazine you can curate. So yeah, what I was going to say is that you can choose to follow or unfollow accounts that, you know, don't make you feel good, and you can choose to follow the ones that inspire or motivate you to be a better person. So yeah, I find Instagram can be, you know, a minefield of I guess a lot of fakeness and superficiality. However, it also can be something that is very inspiring, you know, like some of the examples that I've shown you today, I've discovered through social media and through Instagram. And even the way you curate your own social media and what you post on your own Instagram is all a conscious choice and decision. So yeah, ultimately, if there's any accounts that you're following that don't make you feel good, you can always unfollow them. You don't need to, you know, engage in anything that doesn't feel authentic. And this is my digital marketing hat coming on here, but even when it comes to your own social media, the more authentic and yeah, vulnerable and real you can be, generally the better response the content that you create is going to receive, because authenticity at the end of the day is what shines through. And, you know, we're all humans, we all struggle, we're all walking each other home on this journey called life, during which oftentimes the journey is just as important as the destination. So I'm getting slightly philosophical here, but yeah, I love to talk about human potential, and I really, you know, believe in the Buddhist view, and as the Dalai Lama says so beautifully, we're all put on this earth, we're all here to help each other, and, you know, if you can't help others, then at least don't harm them. Or, you know, another Muhammad Ali quote that I love so much is that kindness to others is the rent that we pay for our time here on earth. So kindness to ourselves and others goes a really long way in making the world a better place and making this journey more enjoyable for ourselves and others. So much love to you guys, and thank you if you did tune in with me today. And if you're watching this after the fact, then I would love to hear from you. So please feel free to send me an email, kasia@mcnaughtonmedia.com. That's Kasia, Kasia, or you can find me on most social media platforms, except on Sundays when I go offline and I hopefully have a healed foot and I'm hiking, so my notifications are turned off. Anyway, on that note, guys, it's been absolutely wonderful starting the week off this way by exploring this topic with you. So I hope that you've, yeah, gained a lot of insight and inspiration for keeping yourselves healthy while staying from home, while working from home rather. And yeah, on that note, it looks like, if you're in Perth anyway, it looks like it's beautiful today with some sunshine. So yeah, just get out there if you can and get some fresh air, and have a beautiful and productive and healthfully abundant week, everybody. Love to you all, and thank you for tuning in, and I hope to speak to you again soon. And yeah, happy Monday, everybody. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Over and out. This is Kasia from Ignore Media on behalf of Business Station and the Australian Small Business Advisory Services Digital Solutions Program. Have loved being with you, love being an advisor. If you need any help with your social media or your resilience and well-being or digital marketing, then hit me up, and take care. I will speak to you later. Bye.